another episode of Moroccan Success Stories. We have already hosted many of them. Moroccans who have excelled in their professional careers to share with us their inspiring thoughts, wisdom, and valuable experiences. Our guest speaker today came from humble beginnings in eastern Morocco, near the Atlas Mountains. Because of his relentless pursuit for excellence, he has become a great expert in his field, and he raised our heads so high. So today we are lucky to have the opportunity to host a leader whose insights can enlighten and inspire us. It's an honor and a privilege to have you with us today. I take this opportunity to express our gratitude to our distinguished guest, Mr. Jamal Benbrahim, for accepting our invitation.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you.
To get started, would you like to share with us a brief background history about yourself?
Yeah, so when I was about 2 months old, sorry, I don't remember that. Yeah, as you said, I was born in the city of Fiqig, which is away on the east of Morocco. You cannot go any more east than there without getting into trouble. But and then I don't remember much of it because when I was young, maybe 2 or 3 years, we moved to Casablanca, and then grew up there, and then went to school there. I used to, and this is a cliche thing, I used to walk to school and walk back and take the bread with me, put it in the public oven, and then bring it back. And sometimes I bring our bread, sometimes I bring somebody else's bread, who knows. And then when I was maybe around 13, 14, one of my cousins was into computers and all that, and he introduced me to computers. Like, these are the early days of computers, not whatever we're working with right now. And then somehow I just got into that, and it was always fascinating to see how these things work and how, you know, it's something clicked, and I just like, hey, this is something I really would like to do. And I kept on doing that, and eventually finished my baccalaureate in public school in Casablanca, and then went to the U.S. to do my schooling there. So that's halfway part. You want me to continue the whole way, or do you want to? Yeah. So I went there, and I went there with an image of what America is like, basically coming here from all the movies and all that, and then I landed in Kansas, which is like the heartland of America. It's nothing like what the movies are. So it was quite a shock in there, but it was interesting to basically learn how society works there. It was quite a shock how people interact and all that, and then eventually end up moving from there, end up in the University of Texas in Austin, and finished that, and then jumped into a couple of roles and jobs and a couple of companies, and eventually, long story short, I eventually ended up working at Amazon.
I would like to know, how did you get started in your current career, and what led you to your current position?
Yeah, so part of what I really wanted to do as far as computers, to kind of program computers, even though my studies were actually in electrical engineering. But then that was always my passion. I always loved to do that. But I did not want to do that for work, because I don't want that to become work. I want to keep it as a hobby. So I was doing programming computers to get a job and make money. And then I started seeing what could be possible, what you can do with programming, all kind of different things. I mean, what you can do with programming is amazing. Pretty much everything around us is programming. And then eventually I found a company that has such a forward-looking image as far as what they want to do. They want to keep advancing. And then I said, okay, this is a good company to join. And then some people said, well, where are you going to do this? Like, I don't really care. I'm in a company where I'm going to meet a lot of people, and then see where they're going, and maybe even help them go further. And then, like right now, I'm working on integrating Alexa into all kind of devices, so that you can talk to anything that has an Alexa may answer, and then help you make your life a little bit simpler, a little bit faster. Yeah.
And can you tell us, Mr. Benbrahim, what are the qualifications needed in order to be a good manager?
You have to be a good Moroccan. No. So don't edit that out. Yes. Don't edit it out. People think of like the kind of like I was talking about when I landed in the U.S. How I changed the way I see things. Like here, when you say manager or mudir or something like that, there's that connotation of like superiority or I am the one in charge and all that. But then if you think of as manager, um, if you don't have, you can be a good manager, you can be the most amazing manager. But if you don't have a team, then you're nothing. You're not going to be able to do anything. If you don't have a team that trusts you, that works with you, that you trust, you will not be any manager. So a manager is the one who gets out of the way, does not go in this like why do you do this, why do you do this, why do you do that. It's somebody who stands back and lets the team be the team, and somebody who does not take themselves too seriously, like the team can come and make fun with you and all that stuff. I mean, don't confuse respect and fun. So you can have fun with your manager and all that, but then of course there's that respect. So nothing stops me from going to many vice presidents above me in Amazon and having fun with them, and they're in the meeting and they laugh and all that. But there's respect, and then so coming back to a manager, if you trust your team and you let them work, do what they do, then that's the main thing. You are there to help them make their lives easier. And if all of them work, then you succeed.
All right, so would you tell us a few major roles and responsibilities to prove that teamwork that you've been talking about?
Yeah, so a lot of the times it's not everybody is as ideal as this, is what I said. So you don't work in a team, you don't work just by yourself, you work with other teams, which is a very important part in any job, Amazon or Google, whatever company. Even here, there is like Mr. Hilali has to work with everybody in a different team and all that. And one of the major things is that when sometimes you maybe you advance an idea or something, and then other teams may not believe or trust you and all that. That's the point where your manager steps in and they say, here is this person, Mr. So and so, or this is so and so, and here's the idea that they brought. And then your manager, he or she would kind of speak to others through their voice and give you credibility, and then get out of the way. So, for example, we have different teams. There's like one team I deal with that the manager speaks all the time, all the time, all the time, which is kind of not a good sign. But there's another team that I deal with. The manager would introduce a subject and then go to one of their employees and say, hey, so and so, can you please explain to these vice presidents and everything what we have been working on, and give everybody the chance for them to talk and just step back. And what a lot of people don't realize is that those higher ups, those VPs, start seeing you as somebody who's confident in themselves. They don't need to be the ones speaking. They don't need to be, the ones that, like, you never see somebody speaking all the time, like I'm doing right now. Then you think, like, they think they have something to cover for, or they have something that is not fulfilled in their life. But then when you see somebody just come in and just let the team and stand back, then you get success. And if you want to see one of the major success stories that I really was so happy about, is what the Moroccan team did in the World Cup. We've seen so many teams come with like really good players and all that, but there was always, camera always on the manager. But then when the current manager stepped back, let the team do what they did, and they said Dirunia, stuff. So they did a great success. So those are the traits of a really good manager.
I would like to ask. شو مشكلة إذا استفدت سؤال؟
Yes, sure.
Could you please, Mr. Benbrahim, tell us what is your current job?
So my official job is, yeah. So when I go to the office, I bring coffee to my boss and say hello, sir, and I leave. That's it. That's my current job. He's gonna edit that. He's gonna edit that. So my official title is Principal System Architect. So what that means is, so a lot of people have specific function that they do. For example, somebody's working on this microphone. They're gonna go and work on the microphones, make sure that the level is correct and all that. Somebody works on a computer, make sure the screen is correct and all that. But when you're designing a new product, you need somebody who understands how the whole system works so that they can make a product. Because if you just take little pieces and say, I'm making a microphone, I'm making a screen, I'm making buttons, that doesn't make a product. You need somebody to say, okay, I would like to make a camera, for example, like the one we're looking at right now. And then somebody has to come and say, okay, what are the requirements from, like, what do we want this camera to do? And then they're gonna say, okay, we need a lens, we need a sensor, we need something to record it and all that. So how do you put all these pieces together? So we need somebody who understands hardware, software, mechanical, and all that. Otherwise, you're not gonna have such a good-looking product as the camera we're looking at right now. So that's the system architect is the one that tries to make sure that all the components work together to make a product.
Okay, and what inspired you to pursue your current career and area of expertise?
I was always very curious about how things work. I remember when the first time when we got a VCR, which for you maybe you don't know what a VCR is. Back in the old times when the world was still black and white, we had these cassette tapes for film, right? We would put them in there, and then put them in a player and play movies and stuff like that. And when you finish, you have to rewind them and all that. So we bought it, and the second day, me and my brother went and took it all apart. Just opened it up and all that. Of course, my dad was at work, so he didn't know what we were doing. But we wanted to know how it works. And it was always that kind of idea of like, okay, how do these things work? You cannot take them for granted. Like, how does this work? You know, it's like, or simple things. How does the remote control work, right? So if you try to think about how these things work, you start questioning different things. Like you don't take things for granted. When you start taking things for granted, then sometimes you don't develop your curiosity and eventually your intelligence about how you look at things. So that's kind of what has pushed me, and it's still pushing me all the time right now to figure out how can I advance. For example, I'll take something simple and open it up, and it's like, oh wow, this is interesting. How does this? I never knew that you could do something like this. And by the way, if I take this and put it in this different device, now I can do something else. So you're always looking for a way to advance, either to make money or to make people happy or for anything.
And would you mind sharing a personal story or experience that has taught you an important lesson about overcoming obstacles and adversity?
That's too personal. I cannot share with you.
No problem.
The personal experience was basically how to what I was talking about earlier as respect versus having fun or something like that. Early on, I had that hang up. You know, you cannot really. There are limits. Like, for example, there will be somebody talking, like somebody's higher than me in rank, will be talking, and then they say something wrong, and then I have to sit there and just not say anything. And then eventually, it became to the point where, wait a minute, this is making my life harder and all that. And then I was so lucky that there was this CEO of this company that I was working for. a multi-billion-dollar company. And then he kind of saw that. I mean, it's like somebody with good charisma and everything, and saw that. And after the meeting, he called me. I was like, okay, I'm in trouble right now. So he called me and he said, I mean, I sensed that you were not comfortable with what I was saying. And I said, it took me a while. And I said, well, yeah, I mean, some things were, I tried to make it as nice as possible. Some things could be a little bit more correct, like this. He goes, they were wrong, right? I said yes. And then he said, there's nothing about correcting me, even if it's the big environment and like a lot of important people in there, because I want everybody to have correct information. I don't want people to just listen to me and um, like just listen to me and take whatever I said as if I am some kind of genius, whatever. Everybody makes mistakes. And he said, I rely on you and everybody and your coworkers to correct me, because eventually I want to be the one telling good information, correct information. And for me, it was such I think it was a shock in there. Somebody so high up, coming to you and talking to you with such simple words, and giving you so much confidence that you kind of feel that liberation, saying, okay, now I'm not going to see people by their level. I'm going to see people who they are, like what do they know and all that. And then it was very good. I mean, it's like, and I was so lucky that this person was humble enough, and most importantly, they were so confident in themselves that they didn't care that if you corrected them. So that, for me, that was a good lesson. That's something that I try, like when mentoring other people. I say, look, do not, if you are certain of what you're thinking, or maybe even if you're not certain, don't feel shy to jump up and say, hey, wait a minute, sir, this is different, or this is not correct, and all that. And what if you're wrong? It does not matter, because they will come, depending, if you're so lucky to have this charismatic leader in there, they're gonna come to you as like they would say, Jamal. They don't say Mr. Benbrahim or anything, and they're even at the CEO level. They say, Jamal, look, maybe I can send you an article to kind of talk about this thing, because here's how it actually works and all that stuff. And of course, at the beginning, you feel shy and crushed and blushing and everything. But after a while, you learn that saying something that may not be right is not the end of the world. As long as you're always pushing the limits, always correcting people if you think they're wrong, don't feel bashful. Don't just say, okay, this person is way up there, I cannot tell them something. So that was very good lesson.
Going back to what you do at your job, how significant was your first accomplishment to the continuation of your career?
So, if you think about your career as, if you think your career has an end, then you will not go anywhere, right? If you think that, okay, I'm gonna work, and then when I get at this age, and I'm gonna make this much money, then I'm gonna stop, and then it's, at least that's not me. I mean, it could be somebody else, that's what they want to do, but that's not me. So when I first joined Amazon, just like with other companies, I didn't join just say because they said, oh, we need somebody to fix these clocks so they can work all the time. I joined, they told me, hey, start testing these things. It's like, okay, I'll test things. But then I started seeing opportunities there. It's like, okay, we can optimize this thing. We can do tests like better, faster, And that's what I like to do. This kind of like what led me to be a system architect, is wherever you see anything, there's an opportunity to improve it. And that's kind of my passion. My passion is not to work on one thing. If you tell me that you're gonna come every day and just do the same thing over, I'm gonna say, yeah, thank you very much. I'll go do something else. Exactly. It's boring, but boring to the point where you're wasting your time. They say if you're bored, you can innovate. But if you're bored, but all your time is used, then you don't have the opportunity to think in there. So, but there are some people who are happy doing the same thing every day. That's if they want to do that, that's fine. But that's not me.
It depends on the personality of the people.
Exactly, it depends on the personality. And for me, is if I'm doing the same thing over and over again, then I'm not advancing, and I'm just going backwards.
After landing in the US for the first time, how long did it take for you to adjust to the new environment and cultural differences?
It took when I landed, it took about maybe 6 months to gain all the weight that I have because of different food. So I adjusted within 6 months to the US work. um, it took a while. I'll tell you one of coming back to personal things. Um, I wanted to find a job while I was in college, and the good paying jobs were the ones that you're supposed to answer the phone. And for me, it was like, I cannot answer the phone. What if somebody says something, I don't understand them and all that? So for a while, that was kind of an obstacle. I think it took like 2 or 3 years for my English to be comfortable enough that I can go and answer the phone. But along the way, I made few friends um, from different countries. And I was able to see the different cultures and basically try to understand life in there, however people live, what are the expectations and all that. But also understand that the US is not a monolith. It is a lot of cultures. So you have to understand a lot of cultures to make sure that you are respectful to everybody. You're coexisting with everybody. You cannot just go in there and stay within your community and then all of a sudden expect to be integrated and understand things. And integration there is the quickest way to kind of be assimilated in the society and then be comfortable being yourself to start giving back to that society. Because that's an important thing. If you're going to a society where you're just going to take and leave, then it's not fair for the people who are there, because you're not there alone. There are people who cook for you, people who help you, people who, maybe somebody drives you or something like that. And if you're not giving back to that society, then you're being very dishonest. And then when you get to the point where you can be comfortable giving back to society, that's where you are fully integrated in there.
It needs confidence.
Exactly, yeah. And so for me, it was like maybe after 2.5 years of mingling around everybody and all that, I started building that confidence to be confident or to be relaxed.
And did you face any kind of discrimination for your origins, or was it, for example, harder for you to find a job because you were Moroccan?
No, there was zero discrimination for that. It's there was more discrimination in different countries that I've been to than the U.S. The U.S. is like it's at least for me, it was zero discrimination. I said everybody there is kind of sees you for who you are. Unfortunately, there are other issues in the U.S. where there's discrimination and all that. But for me, it did not. It's not like I went to a job and I say, "Oh, you're from Morocco. We're not going to give you this job." And because some people have their own ways. Exactly. They see things like, "Oh, this guy's a Moroccan, so where is your fez? Or are you going to make us couscous today or something?" Like things like that. But no, I did not feel any discrimination there.
And what advice would you give younger students about middle or high school?
Um, the advice that probably people are not going to like is don't take it seriously, because the school system is kind of not even in these, even further, is basically tries to reduce you to a grade. You're not Elias, you're 17 out of 20. You're not Lena, you're 19 out of 20. It's like so that's the wrong way to look at it. The question is like, do you understand what you're learning? If you don't understand what you're learning, if you only thing you're doing is like just like that, it's like you're not going to go anywhere, because once you finish that school, you're going to go into an environment where it's not what they
It's
taught
more
you.
different.
Exactly, it's very different. It's like so for me, when people tell me something about college and stuff, it's like when companies like the only thing they see in that degree is that you're not an idiot and you can learn. That's the only thing they can see in that. At least when I interview candidates and stuff, I don't really. It's like, okay, did you pass these? Okay, so you have a little bit of intelligence to pass this thing. Next question is like, once you learn those things, you understand what you have learned there. And the same thing, some people come in to say, okay, I worked in this company and I made this device. And then I ask them, okay, so tell me how this device works. Oh, well, I went to this online and I found this thing and I put it here. And so you worked at the Lego company? It's like, so that's not what I'm interested in. It's like, basically, do you understand what you're doing? So if you, like when I finished my baccalaureate, some grades I had like 12 out of 20. And in one of the subjects I had 4 out of 20, but I won't tell you which subject that is, but like math and physics, I was really good in that. So because they had such a huge coefficient that they completely obliterated all the other low grades. So, but it's basically don't take it serious. Understand things, understand what you're doing, and then eventually that may look like the long way around, but eventually that's what's going to get you the good grades. That's what's going to give you the respect when people interview you.
So we all go through difficult times in our lives, no matter what our age is. What are some strategies that you would give in order to keep that positive mindset?
I would say the kind of similar on the same vein. Don't take yourself seriously. Don't get to the point where you say, if you're too good for something or for someone, then you have already killed your progress. So you cannot be at the point where you say, oh, I am 27, I'm 28, I'm whatever. That's it. I've reached the top and I'm better than everybody else and all that stuff. So you cannot get to that point because you start closing yourself to opportunities. You start closing yourself to learning new stuff. And as I mentioned before in one of the classes, in school and in life and the parents and everybody, they're always pushing you to succeed. They're always pushing for success, but nobody prepares you for failure. So if you don't know how to fail, then when you fail, it's going to be such a big shock. And what I would say, fail now while the repercussions are not as big. Don't fail when you're in your 30s or in your 40s, because then it becomes, it has more of a,
It's harder to take.
exactly, because like some people say, oh, I'm 40, I'm getting old, and now I'm failing. I failed in my life. But then when you are in your early years, it's okay. I mean, people may laugh at you and people do whatever. People are people, right?
You still can build yourself again when you fail.
Exactly. But then, so when you have gone through these failures and know how to go, next time when you are in your going through work or something, when you run into one of these things, you already know. It's like an immunity. It's like getting a vaccine, right? Think of the great comedians like Gad al-Malih or somebody like that. It's like, see how they think. It's whenever you see a comedian, it's somebody who has been through really rough life and they have so many things, but then they are so quick at recovering from whatever. Like somebody's comedian and there's somebody from the public says, oh, you don't know anything, whatever, and they can use that and come back with something like funny or something like that. So they can react to that. And the reason is because they have gone through these experiences. And some people may say they are failures, but you learn that. And there's nobody who can teach you how to fail. You have to trigger that. But to trigger failure, you have to be audacious. You have to go and say, I don't know if I'm going to do this. No, just go, jump, and see what happens.
What are the top skills or attributes you believe are necessary for great leadership?
Honesty. If you're not honest with yourself and with other people, then you may make quick advances, but you're not going to make long advances. And then also understand that you are part of community. You cannot, like they say, what's the saying? They say, alone we go fast, but together we go far. So you have to say, I'm gonna bring people with me. A lot of people say, okay, I'm gonna be alone. I'm gonna make $1 zillion and dirhams or whatever. I'm gonna be so rich and stuff. But then you're gonna be alone, and you may not get there, or you you may it may change you to a different person. But if you are saying, hey, all us in a group, we're gonna all succeed. The other saying they say in the US, they say, do not grow the slice, grow the pie, right? So I don't want to take half of my pizza. If I make my pizza bigger, maybe bigger than this table, then everybody can have a big slice of this thing. But then when you're not alone, when something happens, you have friends. If you're alone, if you're that horrible person that just takes advantage of everybody, when you get sick, nobody's going to come to help you. So I would say those are some.
Especially real friends. You need real friends. Not
Yes,
just-
exactly. And then hopefully the way you act will rub on your friends, and then your friends will see you as somebody that's dependable, somebody who's not going to cheat them, somebody who's going to, it's like somebody who's with them as a friend, not as, I don't just see you as somebody I can take advantage of or something.
And are there any mentors or role models who have influenced your professional journey?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, I said earlier, one of my cousins was one of the first pioneers of all these computers and all that stuff. So that was kind of like the trigger where everything started, as introducing me to all these computers and electronics and all that. So that was good. And then along the way, there was the story of the CEO I told you about. That was very good. Even though he didn't have time to mentor me over time, just those few instances that I had the chance to interact with him taught me a lot about mentorship, or how people can help you with very little effort. And so that now that helps me, like right now when I talk to my coworkers or somebody, it's okay. I'm always aware of that little effort that you can expend, and what the impact of that will be.
So, to conclude, what is the most important factor to success and well being?
I think uh, uh, I think if you're not happy with who you are or with what you have, then you will not be happy, no matter what. I mean, think of a black hole. However many planets you put in, it will always suck. It's never gonna end. But if you have a chance to travel, like even in Morocco and all that, and see what makes people happy, it's not the cars, the money, whatever. It's the quality of life they have. Some people have, they don't need anything and they have a good quality of life because they are trying to live with what they have. And if you always think that you don't have enough, or somebody else, maybe Betul has a much better car than I do, and it's like I have to get that. If you keep chasing that, there will always be somebody who has something better than you. Just put that at rest, put it in your head. There will always be somebody better than you, always somebody have more than you and all that. If you keep chasing that, there's no end to that. You will not stop. So be happy with what you have, and then always be curious, always be inquisitive, and the most important thing is what I was talking about. Who can you help? Because helping other helps you, and then helps the whole community. Eventually, you will have a big community of well-adjusted people who can also carry that same idea of the help.
It was nice having you today with us and giving us some of your time to do this small interview. And we really enjoyed learning more about you today.
This was way more interesting than I thought it was going to be. I was really, really scared that I might seem way too childish or say something that won't be up to your level, sir. But I'm glad that you tried to, help us feel connected to your story in an easy way for us to understand better.
Opportunity when I was growing up, so consider yourselves lucky to have such an environment where you can be public speakers, where you can kind of develop your voice and develop your confidence. And I hope that you do this with a lot of people, hopefully more important than me. And then, kind of look forward to see what you will be producing next time.